Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel and this video will be the first video in a series of tutorials focused on product rendering in Blender. This first video will start out simple, but will show the basics of creating a product render in Blender. We will cover 3D modeling, lighting, and basic materials in this video. Let's get started. Once you open up a new Blender file, delete everything in the scene. After that, add in a mesh cylinder, then go down to the cylinder properties tab here. Adjust the radius to 40 millimeters and the depth to 100 millimeters. Then with the cylinder still selected, move it upwards along the Z-axis 50 millimeters. Then go to the side view, and from the side view, drag in the reference image, then scale the reference image down, adjust it to the approximate size of the cylinder. Then go to the image properties and adjust the opacity downwards a little bit. Then go into edit mode and add some loop cuts for the top and bottom of the handle and mug transition. Then scale down the bottom of the mug by selecting the edge loops and scaling them. Just select loops and scale them downwards so that it matches the contour of the mug. You might have to also add some extra edge loops just to make the transition a little bit smoother. Once the contour is matched, go to the bottom face and inset it. Then inset it again and move it upwards a little bit. And the bottom of the mug is finished there. After that, go to the side, select these four faces where the handle should transition into the mug and delete those faces. Then drag in your other reference image, the reference image at the top of the mug. Position this image and scale it down to match the mug. Select the edge loops of the deleted faces and duplicate these, move them outwards a little bit, and scale them down by hitting S and X so that they're flattened. Then you're going to want to select these loops of vertices and scale them downwards along the Z-axis to match the scale of the handle. Next, select the top loop of edges and extrude it outwards. Just extrude it outwards a few times and then go back and adjust the contour to match the mug handle. Don't worry too much about the initial time you extrude it out. Just do a few extrusions and then go back and you can adjust the vertices to match the contour better. Once the contour of the handle is matched, go ahead and select these last two loops and hit F2 and then type in bridge. And you should see a function that says bridge edge loops. Select that option and it should nicely bridge the two loops together using faces. Then do the same bridge function for the transition between the handle and the mug on the top and the bottom. All right, once the handle is attached to the mug, go ahead and go to the top view. And you can see from the image that the handle tapers down a little bit at the outside. So select some of these vertices, just the outermost vertices there. Then go and enable proportional editing and scale the handle down a little bit on the outside. Next, select the topmost edge of vertices around the edge of the mug. Extrude this edge and scale it inwards. Then go to the side view and extrude these edge loops downwards. Then scale them inwards a little bit every so often, just to match the thickness of the outer shape of the mug. Once you get to the bottom, go ahead and hit the F key to add a face, and inset a loop of vertices as well. Next, go over to the Modifiers tab. Add a Subdivision Surface modifier and set the levels of subdivisions to 2. Add a Bevel modifier and drag this Bevel modifier above the Subdivision Surface modifier. Change the limit method to weight and adjust the segments to 3. Next, go into Edit mode of the mug, select the outermost edge loop, adjust the mean bevel weight to 1. And do that as well for the bottom inner edge. Now that the 3D model of the mug is finished, go ahead and add a camera. With the camera selected, clear the rotation and location and move it upwards along the Z-axis. Change the focal length to 85 millimeters. Then go over and change the camera resolution to a square aspect ratio. I like 1080 by 1080 pixels. Next, add in an empty sphere and scale it down. Select the camera, select the empty, press Ctrl P, object, rotate the empty 90 degrees on the x-axis and move it upwards 50 millimeters. Then rotate the mug 180 degrees along the z-axis. Next, select the empty and rotate it along the z-axis and the x-axis to give the camera a slight angle to view the mug at. Add a mesh plane. Go into edit mode of the plane, select the back edge, extrude this edge upwards, and select this corner and bevel it. Then shade smooth. Go to rendered mode and change the render engine to cycles, GPU compute. Change the sample count for the viewport and also the render. Then go to the world properties tab and change the world strength to 0. So that's totally dark. Then add in an area light. Rotate this area light 90 degrees around the y-axis. And then move it outward along the x-axis. Change the shape to rectangle and adjust the Y dimension downwards. Make sure that the pivot point is set to the 3D cursor, and then start rotating the area light around the Z axis and also around the Y axis. Decrease the power of the light to 5 watts and rotate the light around a little bit. You just want a nice highlight on the left side of the mug and a shadow on the right side. Next, add in a plane. Rotate the plane along the y-axis, scale it down about 50%, and move it along the x-axis outwards. This plane acts as a reflection plane and adds a little bit of light to the right side of the mug, just so that it's not totally dark on that side. Next, open up a new window, change this to the shader editor, add a new material to the floor plane. Change the roughness to a value of 0.1, then set the base color to something darker, and add in a Voronoi texture. Then add in a mapping node, connect that to the Voronoi texture, and add a texture coordinate node. Add the object output of that to the vector socket of the mapping node. Adjust the scale of the Voronoi texture to something bigger. Then add in a bump node and connect the output of the Voronoi texture to the height socket of the bump node. Change the bump node's strength to 0.1 and the distance to 0.1 as well. And finally connect the output of the bump node to the normal of the principal BSDF. Increase the scale of the Voronoi texture to something larger, like 1200. Adjust the base color to something a little darker. Then select the mug, add a new material, Change the roughness to a value of 0.1, add a coat, a weight of 1, and increase the roughness of the coat a little bit. Add some subsurface, and change the scale to something very small. And you can also change the base color of the mug to something other than white if you like the look of that. And there is the final scene. Go ahead and render your final image by hitting F12 and make sure to save the image onto your computer. Thank you for watching. You have now completed the first video in my Blender product rendering series. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video in the series. If I have already posted the next video by the time you are watching this, I will put it on the end screen here.